Phil Hartman, maybe one of the top 5 performers on Saturday Night Live of all time.
He was 9 years older than me, and I idolized him. He was the king of the groundlings. He was the only one in the group that had a job, and he had his own car, a new car, and he had a house. And the rest of us were dead broke, you know?
Right.
And he was like my big brother. And so I was always trying to get him on Saturday Night Live. And, you know, when he got the job and he turned it down.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. And then I said, come on, Phil. And because I remember I mentioned him to Lauren for the next year. And he goes, well, John, how long has he been in the groundlings? I said, 10 years. He goes, and he hasn't made it yet. There must be a reason. I go, I guess. Because I say, Lauren, listen, if you think I'm good, you'll love Phil. He's a genius. I mean, and so I thought, well, why hasn't he? And he didn't really want it. You know, I thought he didn't believe in himself. So when he said no to the show, and then he said, okay, yes. So I called him up wanting the credit. So, Phil, did you change your mind because of me? Because I convinced you? He's like, no. I'm like,
why? Well, but wait a second.
Me.
This is really
Joel
interesting,
Silver,
John.
the producer, convinced him.
I mean, the guy was a utility player. He could play any character. He was just a brilliant comic.
He and Jim Carrey, the only 2 guys I know, they could change their face and look like the character they were playing without makeup. Like, how do you do that?
Why would a guy like that turn down Saturday Night Live? Do you think it's like
No, I can tell you why. I'd go to his house, and he'd be on the phone. When I got Saturday Night Live, and I'd go to his house. He had a little house in the valley, you know, and he loved it. And he goes, hey, guess who's here? My friend Jon Lovitz, the star of Saturday Night Live. And I'm like, hey, I don't know. So he'd say that. And I go, Phil, you should get on the show. And no, I like my life. I'm happy. Because he was writing scripts. Like he wrote Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. He co-wrote it. And he would get like $125,000. He goes, for a script, he goes, that's enough money. I like my life. I don't want to be famous. I don't want any of that.
Crazy.
But I think deep down he did want it, you know. But he'd been there for 10 years. And you know how he got in the groundlings? He went there for a birthday party to see a show. And then there was an intermission. And all the actors were backstage, and they hear the audience like dying laughing, and they go, "What's going on?" And they went out there, and Phil was on stage entertaining everybody, and they were like, "This guy's great." They go, "You want to be in the group?" He'd never done it. He could just do it.
What was Phil doing before he joined the Groundlings? Was he a comic?
He was a graphic designer, and his brother John Hartman was a manager of groups like Poco and America.
Wow.
And Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And he said to Phil, I need a Best of America. Can you do an album cover? So Phil goes, all right, I'll try. Then, of course, his brother told me he drew this thing. Goes, you mean something like this? And his brother goes, something like this, you know.
Wow,
he just
what a
could
talent.
do it. He could do anything. Plus he was the nicest guy and the humblest guy, you know.
It's amazing to me, a guy that talented and confident goes to see the Groundlings and somehow has the balls to walk up on stage during an intermission when he's never really performed and start entertaining people. I mean, I wish I could see what he did. I mean, that's insane
me too. Yeah, everybody loved him. You know, he was the only guy I know that in every group he was in, everyone loved him, from the Groundlings to Saturday Night Live to news radio, you know. And comedians, they're very, very competitive, you know. And someone always has a problem with somebody. But not Phil.